Let's get this thing started. So, our last call was May 29th, right before the summer started. And to summarize that call, it was basically like rentals are on fire. The sales market's very segmented. Sub-segments are very slow. Others even have bidding wars for well-priced properties. So, like always, I'm so curious, what are our esteemed panelists saying now? What is the state of the market at this time? This is our 46th real estate chat, and the popularity is really growing, folks. I mean, we got now almost 300 agents registered on today's call. We do them every quarter or so. And please note this call, like all the other ones, will be recorded. I'll probably send the recording out along with the notes sometime tomorrow, most likely, possibly Monday, but probably tomorrow I'll get it out. About me, my name's Phil. I'll be hosting today. I was a New York City real estate agent for about 20 years, but now I spend my time running leasebreak.com, a marketplace for shorter leases and lease breaks, which is used by many agents and their clients. We also have a very popular lead program to get rental exclusives if anyone's interested. But enough of that. So let's turn to our panel of experts and see what they have to say about the current state of the real estate market. I'd also like to mention that one of our panelists, Scott Harris, just launched his new book this week called The Pursuit of Home. And he'll talk about that a little bit more when it's his turn to speak, and I'll introduce him again at that time. So, first, as always, we have the illustrious Noah Rosenblatt, who I like to call data extraordinaire. He's the founder of Urban Digs, which is a data analytics and market insights platform. Many agents listening on the call subscribe to that platform, and he's got fans all over the place, including on this call, these panelists. We usually start with Noah, and Noah gives us a good feel of the sort of the lay of the land, but from a data perspective. And he also usually shows us a chart or two that might be helpful. So we look forward to that. And I guess without further ado, let's turn to Noah. Noah, what are you seeing out there in the New York City real estate market?
Oh, first off, Phil, thank you for having me again. This panel is awesome. I look forward to these. I wish it was a little more often, but I understand. I understand it's tough putting these things together. I try to be quick so everyone else can get a good time to talk. The sales market, sales market, I mean, the rental market, we don't track very deeply anymore since the Fair Act, Phil. John will not allow me to. John has he's put the kibosh on me because the RLS inventory is down 70% since the Fair Act. So, like to give you a broad rental market update when the inventory went from this down to this, I don't think is fair from an integrity standpoint. So, I can only imagine what the rental market's doing. I have a feeling it's tight and I have a feeling it's expensive. It seems like out of the two elements, sales and rentals, it's the rental market that's doing good, strong. From a sales perspective, I got to be honest with you, it's a little underwhelming. I mean, there's some good points here. The only good points I can find, Phil, is when I look at new listing activity on a monthly basis and I look at contract activity on a monthly basis. September, we had a lot more stuff come on than we usually do. By about almost 400 units, something like that. So there's a lot of stuff coming on. So that's interesting. And from a contract activity point of view, we had more contracts signed in September than we typically do. So activity is up on both elements, supply and demand. And it's our first time on contract activity. It's the first month that we've had better than seasonal average activity and deal activity since December of last year. Like just to give you an idea, like the last 4 or 5 months was like very underwhelming. And September was the first time that we've actually seen some activity. So I don't know if the whole industry is feeling it yet. Maybe they are anecdotally, I don't know, but like 1 month of good activity usually doesn't translate to everyone feeling it. You have to have, 2 or 3 or 4 months of sustained trends before everyone gets on board and says, this is what I'm seeing. But I'm curious what everyone's going to say.
Great. And Noah, did you have any charts now that you thought would be helpful to show?
Yeah, yeah. I got some charts. Hold on 1 second. Let me just share my screen here, and I'll show you guys a couple of things.
Noah always has charts.
I always got charts. Take a look at the black dotted line. Phil, you asked me to talk about these two charts. I'll do it really quick. The black dotted line is supply in 2025.
Are you
So
guys
where
seeing
are we?
it? For some reason, I'm not seeing it. No, we're not
Oh,
seeing it, Noah.
Oh, you're not seeing it?
Yeah,
Oh, that's strange. Hold on.
Gonna
Hold on.
share the screen. There you
there
go.
we go.
Okay, do you see it now?
It's about, yes, yes, yes,
All right,
yes.
that was weird. All right, we'll just act like that didn't happen. All right. Okay, so take a look at the black dotted line, right? The black dotted line is supply for 2025. That's what you need to know. How are we doing versus the last 5 or 6 years? It's low, right? It's low. I mean, it's like I feel we're above 2024 a little bit, but we're below all the other years, and we're kind of at the bottom of the barrel when you look at inventory right now versus the last 6 years, which is strange, right? Because there's so many new listings coming on, you'd think supply would go up. But no, there's things going off market, there's things going into contracts, so the net push on supply is just not really very high. So it's kind of tight. Now, what about demand? What if we do the exact same thing for demand, contract activity? That's the black dotted line. We're actually doing okay. I mean, we're kind of congealed with the, every year but 2021, which I don't think we can count, right? That was the pandemic year. But we're above. We're doing the best that we've done, but we're just kind of barely above. So it's like, we're doing okay. We're not doing okay. I mean, here's what I think really quick. Look, we have a seasonal market and we have a market that's having a lot of penalties. If I think about penalties, I want to show this really quick. I think it's important. I think there's a knowledge gap, Phil. There's a knowledge gap between what sellers think the renovation that they did in their property 10 years ago is worth today. Knowledge gap. They think they're getting back 100% of that money. They're not. The market's basically giving them 0 to 30% if it's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So there's a lot of explaining to do to these sellers to get through. This renovation decay is a very, very real thing. And I think that's one reason why it's hard to get buyers and sellers on the same page. Buyers just aren't playing ball. Secondly, we have a seasonal wave. Okay, this is what our seasonal wave looks like. We are right in the peak of the fall season, but it's compressed. It's a short season. We got the mayoral election coming up. We don't know if the uncertainty is playing a hand there. But once you get to Thanksgiving, off season until next spring. So I just want everyone to know, you got to keep in mind, where are we? Where are we in the cycle? If I'm going to list, if I'm going to do price cuts, you want to do it in the season, not in the off season.
Hey, Noah, on that last chart right there, so what is the left vertical axis actually showing? Like, what is a 1.0 and what's a negative 1.0?
So John basically did an index. He created this index based on monthly deal volume average for every month of the calendar year. If I look at every single October, for example, and go back to 2008, I can get a general idea of what October typically does. So we did that for every single month, and he created this index of more activity, less activity, so we could see the waves, the seasonal waves that we have. So sellers and buyers typically would like to get value in the down wave. That's when sellers kind of have a tricky off season. They may hit a bid, right? Because they got to sell. Sellers will like to kind of time things or strategically list or do price cuts in the up wave. And that's what this is showing. So it's showing you our spring season and it's showing you our fall season and then what it does in between.
Great, thanks, Noah. One thing I want to
Very
comment
welcome.
on, I guess we'll get to the panelists now, but is that if you're saying that inventory is at like a 5-year low, more or less, but demand is kind of medium, to me that indicates that could be a good sign. It means demand is kind of higher than where inventory is. So hopefully we'll see what the panelists say, but that could be an indication of some positive things to come, hopefully. So, all right, let us now move to our panelists. We've got Noemi, who was here first, so we gotta go with her. I think she might have missed the last one, so I'm so happy to see her. Did you miss the last one, Noemi, or were you here? Can't remember.
I did miss the
You
last one,
did,
so
yeah.
I
So
appreciate. I was bright and early this morning to be on.
awesome. I really appreciate that. So what are you seeing out there? And don't forget to give us a rating between 1 and 10. 1 would be a raging buyer's market, 10 would be a raging seller's market.
Thank you. As always, I think Noah's charts and data is so valuable, and I agree 100% in everything he said. What I'm seeing, boots on the ground. I'm working with buyers and very few sellers actually in Manhattan and in Brooklyn. I feel Brooklyn is really very sought after, especially the townhouses. But it's what Noah says. It's things are not flying off the shelves like they used to. I'm seeing my buyers take their time. They want to see all the inventory that's out there. They're not quick to make a decision. Due diligence is taking a lot longer than it used to be. Most of my buyers are all cash, so I'm not really working with the banks on any of these deals. So I wouldn't really know how it's affecting with the local law 11, which when I was working with financing, I found that to be a real challenge. I'm seeing a lot of board turn downs as well. I was working with a buyer in Brooklyn where we put in every offer we put in, we didn't get accepted. And it turns out that two of the many that we put in actually didn't go through, did not get accepted by the board. I actually called one of the agents today and I said, what happened? You know what she said? They didn't want a cash deal. I'm like, what does that even mean? But it happens. So I'm finding everything is slow but active. There's no urgency out there. People are just taking their time. I haven't really seen anyone complain or say I'm concerned about the Marrello race. People are still buying, people are still seeing, people are still selling. I think New York is very resilient. We will get through whatever gets thrown at us. And I have a positive outlook at what's coming ahead.
Wonderful. Thanks, Naomi. And what number did you give us? Did you say one buyer?
I'm gonna stick to 5.5.
5.5. Okay, sounds
Right
good.
in the middle.
All right, a little leaning towards seller's market. Great. Thank you, Naomi,
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you.
I'm just going by what I see on my screen. I see next was going to be Scott Harris. So let me just talk a little bit about Scott. So Scott is not only an agent, but he's also the founder of the brokerage Magnetic. But in addition, he's also the author of a brand new book called The Pursuit of Home. And Scott tells me this book is not just geared to first-time home buyers, but also newer real estate agents who want to better understand what their clients are going through. So with that, Scott, would love to hear your thoughts on the market. Would love to hear your number between 1 and 10, but also feel free to talk about the book, and congrats on the book launch. Oh, you're on mute, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Phil. It's great to see everybody here. It's been a little while. So I am Scott Harris. I'm the founder of Magnetic. And what I'm seeing in the market right now is, and I'm reading the chat as it happens, it's very neighborhood specific. It's almost micro neighborhoods, as some people have talked about. I want to point out one neighborhood where I see a lot of opportunity for buyers, which is Harlem. Harlem is like dead as dead. There's almost no transaction volume whatsoever in Harlem. I think if somebody is willing to take a risk, quote unquote risk, take a shot on something where a market is a little slower, I think there's tremendous upside. And in general, we're seeing people lose, my clients, some of them are losing bidding wars. We have some sellers who are getting a little bit more firm in their price. And we're seeing a lot of activity. The demand is there. The inventory needs to continue to come on. And, look, there was an article today in the Wall Street Journal talking about, how that the Upper East Side is hot. And there was another article saying that there's no inventory from new development on the Upper West Side. I agree with both of those statements, that good inventory is moving and we're returning to health to a certain extent. I would give the market, if I'm giving the market a grade or a number, I probably lean it a tiny bit towards buyers still. Because in general, and you can't generalize, but I think in general, there are opportunities for buyers that are abundant. You just have to be willing to hold your nose and go right now. We're not going to get into the election, but it's definitely, people think it's weighing on a lot of buyers. I think it's playing less of a role than people think. Now, The Pursuit of Home, my book. Here it is. And for all those agents out there, I'm actually hosting a book release party for real estate agents. If you come, it's at the Cornell Club next Wednesday. I'll put the email to RSVP in the chat and you can come and get a free copy of the book. But what is the book about? It's about the emotional journey that people take when they go to buy a home. This is what people actually go through, not what you see on TV, not what you see in social media. All the good agents on this call, and there's so many, Phil, thanks for convening this all the time, really do know what their buyers go through and how to help them navigate. But if you look across the country, I think there are a lot of agents who can learn how to manage that process a lot better And so the book was written to help people navigate that journey and have a better experience. And I'm delighted to talk about it anywhere that is possible. And you look, the big picture of all this, we give grades to the market, but what's really true is that I really believe that good agents help their buyers and sellers make their own market. You know, and that's what it's about creating a vision for what you're trying to accomplish with your real estate goals and then going and making it happen. So tip of the hat to you, Phil. Tip of the hat to all these good agents who are on the call. And again, I'm going to put in the chat where you can RSVP if you want to be a part of the event next week. And thanks again.
Thank you so much, Scott. Congrats on the book. And I'm going to put you down for a 4.5. You said slightly buyer's market in terms of your number. We need actual data here, folks. We need the actual number. Thank you, Scott. All right, Mark D. Friedman, what are you seeing out there right now?
Hello. Thanks for having us and putting this all together again. I'm going to look at the camera. That's what's going on out there. Noah really nailed it in the beginning. I think the market is a little slow for the sell side. I'm definitely working with more buyers than I've worked with in a long time, and they're going into contract. So that's a good thing. Interest rates are a little bit down. So it's sort of enticing more first-time buyers in. The high-end market, oof, dead. I'm not seeing it. We have a $5 million listing. We have a townhouse that's $5 million. That's seeing action, and it's a couple offers. So I think it is sort of segmented, as they said. And listen, I just put on a rental yesterday and have an application in. It's a $10,000 rental on 88th Street. And everybody who's come in, I've shown it to probably 10 people in a day, and everybody says the market there's no inventory and it's impossible to find anything. But I definitely think it's leaning towards a buyer's market still. Not seeing a lot of people through these doors. Things are not closing very quickly. And yes, the co-op boards are getting oddly more difficult than they should be in this market, but it's a co-op board, so there you go. I would definitely say closer to a 6 on the buy side.
So 4, so closer to a buyer's market.
4,
right.
yeah.
Okay, good, awesome. Thank you, Mark. So Dan Marrello, let's get to you. Dan, since we didn't have too much data on the rental market, if you wouldn't mind spending maybe a little time also talking about the rental market. I know there's a lot in your purview, so if you could speak a little bit about that, and yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the real estate market.
Thanks, Phil. Just quick on the sales market. If you asked me in August, which was a tough month, how the fall would be, I would say it's probably going to be terrible, based on the election news and whatnot. And then we came into September, and Noah, quote me if I'm wrong, I think we had the best September in the last 10 years, right? You're on mute.
Yeah, you're on. There you go.
Yeah, it's been the best September, I think, in like 5 or 6 years or something like that. But yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, if you take 2021 out, it was a phenomenal September. And then if you even parse that data even more, you take new development out, and we're up 26% year over year compared September to September. So everyone says the market's dead. I would say it's not dead. It's extremely bifurcated, right? I would say if you're working the studio 1-bedroom market, it's very tough. That studio 1-bedroom co-op market is very, very tough right now. And then you've got, your prime brownstone Brooklyn, you've got West Village neighborhoods are still firing on all cylinders. Rental market, I think everybody knows here, it's still insane, extremely tight inventory. And I would wonder if you look at all the news that came out about, we've had the best office leasing market in 19 years. How that plays into rentals. We've always said over the years that rentals are fueled by employment. When employment is good, the rental market is really good. And now you have all these companies pulling people back to the city based on that leasing data. So yes, the Fair Act is a piece of it, but I think also the fact that there's so many more people being pulled back into the city to actually work, they need apartments to live in. So I think that's fueling the rental market as well. If I was going to pin a number on the sales market, I'd say it's somewhere between a 5 and a 5.5. So I'll give it a 5.5 to be optimistic.
Okay, I was gonna do 5.25, but hey, I'll give you 5.5, you
If
know?
we're doing quarter points, then run.
Um, Dan, if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about the Fair Act, since there was so much media about it, prices going up, the RLS inventory is going down. I mean, so what are you seeing? Any big takeaways from that?
You know, there's two tales here, and some people may hate me. Some of my agents absolutely love it. They think it's great. It removes the friction between them as a listing agent and the tenant and having to collect from them. Um, Anybody who works the open rental listing market hates it. Obviously, it's like a rat race, and it's confusing. And you got to convince people working for you to work with you. I think it's normalized the rental market in a certain sense. I have agents that are doing exclusive tenant rep agreements now, which they've never done in my 25 years. And I think people are willing to sign those now because they know what their fee is specifically. Where prior you could say my fee is anywhere from 0 to 15%. I really don't know because it depends on the listing. Right now, you know for sure you're not paying the listing broker, so set a fee with the tenant and run with it. So I think the market is much more normalized. When it comes to rents, rents are up anywhere from, I'd say, minimum 8%, all the way up to 25-30% in certain locations.
Wow. Thank you, Dan. And again, I just why I love this panel, because you're not saying what the media narratives, you're not telling what agents just want to hear. You're saying what we need to know, which is facts and knowledge. So I just wanted to commend you on that. That is great information. Thank you very much. By the way, I've heard the same thing, and I've always thought, because I did a lot of rentals in my day, and I always thought that there was a positive side also to the Fair Act. It's not all negative. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Antonio, what do you got for us, buddy?
Hello, everybody. It's so good to be here. It's good to see everybody. Congrats, Scott, on your book. Can't wait to read it. One of the things that we brokers have to keep focusing on is, it is a buyer's market. I'm at number 4, very strong number 4. I'm not in the middle. I am leaning to the left. And, you know, if I were to also add to that, it's a broker's market. Um, my team we do mostly sales with some rentals. We just got an accepted offer for 2.5 million, and I don't think that buyer would have gotten that without us. We did all our due diligence, and it's co-op, 50% down. So we really talked to the broker on the other side and made sure that they know how qualified our buyer is compared to the other uh, offers that they got. And it's brand new renovated. So it follows what Noah was saying. And then there's another property that I have an exclusive, and it's 20 years renovation, still beautiful, mint condition. And we've had 3 offers all under ask. And the seller, of course, would not accept it because, she spent a lot of money renovating it. So I'm going to show her your graph, Noah. It is really important that we keep being the educators, the consultants that we are as brokers, because this is a market where, by the way, the Marrello race, it's a nothing burger. It does not affect my sellers. It does not affect my buyers. And people need to live somewhere. I have a $50 million buyer, for a townhouse in the Upper East Side, and the inventory is non-existent. We saw 3 and that's it. We had to stop. And I go, you got to make an offer one of those 3. And otherwise, they're going to be gone. But they need a bigger property, right? They have children and they don't even think about the Marrello race. People need to sell. So they don't even think about all those things. We've gone through so many things in the city. And it's really people, this is not a commodity that you can trade so fast. This is your life. So we as brokers, we put the sanity within the insanity that's happening, not just in real estate and business, but in so many parts of the news that we're bombarded with. So that's how I am after 25 years in the business. I'm like their sanity litmus guy, right? Go, look, this is where you need to, these are your goals. let's meet your goals. So I'm strong for buyer's market, and I think we're going to lean towards the seller's market in the spring.
Awesome. Thank you, Antonio, very much. Let's now move to Caroline Bass. Yes, that is her name, everybody. So what's going on, Caroline? What are you seeing out there?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I think it's a 4. I think it is definitely a buyer's market. And here's why. I had a listing that I thought for sure was going to receive multiple bids, that we were going to go above the asking price. It was a 3-bedroom on the Upper East Side, a very reasonable maintenance, $29.92, doorman building, higher floor, tons of light, completely updated with a washer and dryer in unit. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Not the biggest 3-bedroom in the whole world, but we listed it at 1,675. We had 21 people show up at the open house. I had 1 offer. That to me is really indicative of that market, of the market that we're in, because I feel as though even 2 years ago, we would have had 6 or 7 offers, and that apartment would have flown off the shelf. So
that was the one on 71st Street.
Yes, did you come?
No, but I saw it. I love that building.
It's a great building. It's
Great building.
300 East 71st Street. Yes.
Yeah.
So
did you accept the offer, Caroline?
Of course we did. Yeah, we did. I mean,
Congrats.
listen, thank you. We accepted it. It was a full cash. It was a full ask offer at cash. And I feel lucky that we got it, because these are pied-à-terre buyers. And, we had 4 people come back for second showings, but they didn't materialize into offers. So I definitely think it's a buyer's market out there. I have another listing on 95th Street. We had 2 offers fall apart 6 months ago. Another apartment just came on in the building. They're priced $75,000 less than us. And we're getting another offer now, but it's a buyer's market out there. It's a buyer's market. So I'm going to give it a 4. I'm left leaning like Antonio. And really quickly, Antonio, I heard you have an Upper East Side townhouse buyer. I just lowered, I have a $15 million townhouse that we just lowered to 12.5, that the owner, it's the Breakfast at Tiffany's townhouse. He really wants to sell. It's got
Go
an
on your
elevator.
website right now, Caroline.
Yeah, check it out. Let's do a deal.
That's what we do here, folks.
plug.
We're creating deals.
That's what
right
it's
here,
all
folks.
about.
That's my
That's
plug.
what we're doing.
But anybody has a motivated townhouse buyer, 12.5, it's a totally done house. You can DM me for more info.
Thank you, Caroline. And that reminds me, we probably should do a session where we just talk about listings. But anyway, thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you.
Brian Morgan, what do you got for us? What are you seeing out there? I know you also do a lot of rentals too. So anything you want to add on that front is always helpful.
Hey, Phil, what's going on? Thanks for having me. Good to see everybody again. Oh boy, it's a buyer's market, no doubt about it. If it wasn't for Noah's data, I'd give it a 3. But to see 762 contracts signed, it just like blew me away. And I have a theory, okay? Because we're all kind of saying the same thing. All right. When I see that number, I have to say to myself, why? And I feel like it's a pent-up demand thing from having 2 very soft selling seasons in the spring of 24 and 25. So you're starting to get a little bit of a bump in the end of the summer months that were a little bit higher than we normally expect, just a little bit. And then the same thing is kind of happening in September. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how this is possible, because we're all saying the same thing. And yet we're seeing, I think Noah had said the best September in 6 years. So
I'm still keeping you at a 3 though. Okay. That's your finger on the pulse. That's what matters. That's what counts. You're a 3. Leave his data separate.
My 3 is anecdotal, which everybody should be,
of course.
I'm taking the data aside and I'm giving it a 3. I am seeing some of my listings just last year. I see comps going for like 8-9% more, and I can't even lower it and get my ask. I mean, you tell me that's not a 3. That's a freaking 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough out there. On the buy side, people that are willing to, that are motivated and need a place to go, they're trying to negotiate and getting their deals. So yeah, there's deals happening, but the sellers have to really capitulate in many circumstances. And then of course you have the really good inventory, the special inventory, the inventory that's in a special location, the inventory that has a special outdoor space, has a special view, something that you have a very difficult time finding, those are flying. But that's such a small segment of the market. But when they come, that's why you are seeing bidding wars. So you're going from like listings I can't even move for prices I can't even believe I can't get, to then the other side of the equation where you see certain products fly. So, and I think those products are also part of the reason why you see this contract activity number high in September, because the good inventory is moving and it's moving fast.
Great. Thank you. And then Brian, rentals, any thoughts on that?
So rentals overall, I'm definitely seeing my prices, at least, let's take a side right now. Let's talk about what happened after the Fair Act summer wise. Prices definitely went up for the products that I've been listing. I've been able to get my numbers. That changed over the last 45 days. But certainly most of my listings, now I can't tell you that they cover the whole fee, but they're in most circumstances, they're either covering the whole fee or most of the fee. And what happens now is all the increases come off of those higher rates, and we see that the Fair Act did nothing.
So, Brian, when you say that changed over the last 45 days, could you provide an example? Do you mean?
So,
What do you mean?
the demand has, just seasonally is not there, but that's normal. So in this fall market, I can't get that broker fee covered like I was able to cover right after the Fair Act.
So you got offers below, or you had to lower the price?
No, we just had to lower the prices to not below pre-Fair Act, certainly, but not 5, 10, 15% higher, which in many circumstances was getting that much only 6, 8, 10 weeks ago.
That's super helpful.
It's a seasonal thing. I expect it to go back to where it was this summer in the spring, and us to be able to cover the broker fees through rents, which is exactly what was happening right after the Fair Act, about 2.5 months, June, July, August. Yeah, through August, through mid-August, that was pretty much happening. I was able to get the fee covered with the rent.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. There's
And
also a special.
one more thing I want to say,
please.
with the mayoral election, I agree with everybody. It is a nothing burger right now. You can look at the numbers. If everyone was so worried about this, why is inventory not up? Why isn't everybody listing? This idea that there's this panic, and there was so much talk about it with, you all know who, on social media, about this panic and everyone freaking out. My mom even called me about it. Okay. My mom doesn't like follow real estate. All right. She called me about it. And we are seeing, I'm not saying anything's not going to happen after. I don't know. I'm just talking right now. If we had somebody worried about if we had sellers worried about this, inventory would be skyrocketing. It's not.
Thank you so much. And Brian, also a special place in my heart for those that are willing to throw out a number like 3, which is much different than the rest of the panel. I just wanted to thank you for that one. So thank you very much. All right, William Bolls, we got you next. I'm looking at my I don't know why Nikki's at the end, because she definitely came on earlier. Maybe she came off and went back on. But anyway, William Bolls, who also does Connecticut and New York City, would love to hear from you. What are you seeing out there?
Hey, so Brian scooped me with a 3 because I had 3 written down. But you know what?
I believe it. I believe it.
You know what a 3 is? A 3 is an opportunity for buyers, and the mayoral chatter feeds into that, right? There's like this funny little wait and see moment, and that's when buyers get their deals. I've done more rentals this year in Manhattan than I've done in many years. My business pretty much now is all past clients and referrals. It just so happened that all of my past client folks who were landlords all turned their tenants over this year. So was definitely in the thick of the rental market this year, and agree. The last one that we did, there was a market difference in the demand that was less than 30 days ago. So it's seasonality, right? And like all the landlords have a time now. Like it's like we know when people are moving, right? Just a couple, speaking of seasonality, I think something that's happened, and I don't know if anyone brought it up today. Seasonality just crept back into the market within the past year or two. Remember how it was a thing when we all got started, and then it wasn't a thing, and now I just think it's a thing again. That and September, you always think is going to be amazing because everyone's back, and it doesn't work that way.
You always forget the Jewish holiday because there are a lot
well,
of holidays in September. There's a lot of
but
holidays.
yeah, people are super distracted in September. I'm hearing I don't really do business in Brooklyn, although I have something in contract in Brooklyn off market right now. I'm hearing that Brooklyn got a little softer, which didn't surprise me. I was waiting for that to happen. There's a friend of mine on my team who's got a really super great condo, great for investors, everything, and she can't give it away. It's deeper into Brooklyn. That's a news story for Brooklyn, right? You're gonna ask me what neighborhood, I don't remember. Back to see that. And then Connecticut. So I'm in the part of Connecticut where it's a lot of second homes. It's a lot of Upper East Siders and Upper West Siders and Brooklyn folks who have their second home up here because it's too far to commute every day, but you can get away for the weekend. We had a weird non-summer season. Yes, there were deals, but it's just like the buyer demand was really tepid. And it's really interesting. It has come back in the past few weeks. We're having a pretty good fall market out of nowhere. I don't really know what that's tied to. I can't figure that out, but I'm just trying to ride the little wave because we all know that the fall market is super compact and ends as soon as people start thinking about Thanksgiving. But we're tied in a weird way to the New York market. And so anyway, those are my observations, folks.
Great. Thank you so much, William. And let's now move to Scotty. How's it going, Scotty? What are you seeing out there? I know you do a lot downtown, but you're kind of also all over. What are you seeing?
Well, first of all, it's great to be here. Thank you, Phil. We've been doing this for years now, and I love this panel. So many great people up here in all different pockets of New York City and different price points. Yeah, a couple anecdotal things. We've all talked about like renovated places sell. God, that's so true. It is so hard to push something that's that needs work. But one thing that I've done actually a couple times, and everything I have now is in contract, which is beautiful. But the owners didn't want to do staging per se. I was able to, purchase some things on Amazon, take some stuff from my apartment, like, extra guitar and, things like that, switched out like all the, electrical plates to something nicer, light switches to something nicer, cabinet pulls for something nicer, things that, at the end of the day cost like almost nothing. And it made a huge difference. And I deal with like regular people, unlike some of you. I'm not selling breakfast at Tiffany Townhouse. I would love to, Caroline, but I deal with regular people in New York. We're talking in the anywhere from 500 to I don't know, 1.5. But anecdotally, something interesting that, and I was doing research as well. I have a townhouse that we're in contract in Bed-Stuy, gorgeous brownstone. I probably talked about it on here a couple months ago, but we finally went into contract, and it was right after Labor Day. And I can tell you, obviously the summer's a little slow. We're having a few appointments a week. Right at the beginning, we listed it after Memorial Day. So that was not the ideal time, but spring was in bloom. The garden in the back was amazing, like gorgeous. Really is a nice property. We are selling it for roughly the same price it was purchased for in 2016. So that's almost 10 years ago, if that gives any indication. However, the amount of requests that we got after Labor Day was insane. It was in a really good part of Bed-Stuy. There was a noticeable uptick. So I don't know if it's just, it is part of a little bit of historical seasonality. Maybe the interest rates ticking down slightly, maybe that's part of it. And I was looking at the historical interest rates, as we know that we're down to maybe just under 6, depending on what banks you're looking at. But right now, I just got one today that was like 5.85 for 30-year fixed. Just 2 years ago in October, we were at 7.25, which is soul crushing. And then even January of 2023, we were at 4.85. August of 2022, 4.65. So we're still far away from that, and I think that does impact first-time home buyers a lot in terms of even the psychological aspect of it, just like wanting to be like, hey, I don't want to be locked in a 7% rate. So I think that has helped drive the market a little bit, and then talk of the Feds bringing down the rate at least one more time for the end of the year, I think will be very helpful to the activity. But as I was looking at historical open house activity data that I don't think is publicly out there, what I have noticed is, sure, there's a little bit of uptick after Labor Day, but the month that we never think about, January, after the holidays, around the second week of January, it's almost threefold in Manhattan and Brooklyn in terms of the amount of people that come to the open house. And maybe that's just a quick uptick because people are out of the holidays and now they're like starting a new year, New Year's resolutions, they want to find a place, whatever. But that's very interesting because we know that the inventory doesn't necessarily spike in January, but the open house foot traffic does. And I thought that was interesting when I was looking at the data. To give you an answer to your question, actually, before I give the number, let me tell you about rentals, because I do a lot of rentals. I'm actually really enjoying this FAIR Act because I talk to people about it. Clients hit me up. A lot of people relocating here. I'm very clear about what it is for me. They want to hire me, which is the beautiful part. And they are willing to pay my fee to find the right place. If I had to put a number on the landlord versus tenant, it's like a 9 for landlords because I've never seen prices so high and the demand so high. And I'm looking for people mostly downtown. We're talking West Village, Soho, Greenwich Village. You think you could find a 1-bedroom for $7,500 that's fairly decent. Well, you also have 10 other people that are putting in an application for that same apartment. And people who don't know about this market are like, that sounds crazy. Well, yeah, it is crazy. And then you're seeing dumps for $7,000 as well that I wouldn't put my dog in. And that's a 1-bedroom, by the way. So the competition is incredible, but I think the defined relationships make it easier for me to collect my fee, and people are happy to do it when it's very clear. So I will say that the rental market is pretty bananas right now. There may be signs of it, easing up slightly for renters. Lastly, on the point, I think if you have a renovated place, you're probably at an 8. If you have a non-renovated place, you're probably a 3. So I guess that puts me somewhere around the 4.5 to 5.
Thanks, Scotty. We'll do 4.75 in that case.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. Thank you so much, Scotty. Great thoughts. And now, Nikki, you still with us? I see we got a still image there, so I don't know if you're taking a break, but if not, we'll jump to Tracie. Not seeing her come on. So, all right, Tracie, we're going to jump to you.
Put me in, coach. How are you?
Tracie, yeah, you're in. Get in there.
I can't believe that this is did you say the 46th?
46, yeah, 46.
Amazing.
We started at, by the way, we started with Clubhouse. If you guys remember the app Clubhouse, I think most of you, a lot of you, Scotty is still probably on it.
Scotty was the king of Clubhouse.
Yeah, he is. I would always go to him for any questions I had. But no, now and Scott Harris actually is the one that was really kind of say, why do we not do this on Zoom? And I kind of thought about it, and he was right. And now we're on Zoom. So.
That visionary, that author, that visionary. Looking forward to reading your book, Scott. Thank you. And
Yeah.
Phil, again, thank you and
Tracie.
kudos to you because this is like a full-time job. But it is amazing to be on here as always with this Augusta group of great minds. And as always, I learned something. And it's also interesting how we all have such different trajectories and experiences. I will say, absolutely, we have been in one kind of unending wait and see mode, I would say, for the majority of the sales market. After, the uptick from last December, once we knew who our president was, and then a little bit at the beginning of this year. Then with all the trade wars, tariffs, job markets, et cetera, people have really been a little wait and see. And I do see the impact of what may or may not happen in November, now just 3 weeks away. That is also causing people to pause. But that was such an interesting point that you made about that we haven't been flooded with inventory. And I also think that all of the Florida agents, of whom I am one as well, are licking their chops. They're super excited. I personally do not want my Florida business to increase at this cost to New York City. But I also think that a lot of people say they're going to do things. I don't think there was a huge exodus to Canada when Trump was elected. I don't know how many New Yorkers will actually decamp to Florida if Mandami is elected, but we are going to have to continue to wait and see. But as I think it was Antonio said, real life is still happening. People are still getting new jobs, losing their jobs, having more kids, getting divorced, needing to upsize. So thankfully, the Hamersley team actually has been pretty busy both here in New York and in Miami. And I will just say, Caroline, I hope we don't have a repeat of your scenario. We are literally just listed a great true 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Brooklyn, not a ton of inventory, nothing else in this building for just under $1 million. There might even be a parking opportunity. So maybe it's that has caused us to have an overwhelming more response to any new listing I've had. And this has just been a couple of days, in a very long time. This is, underscoring my desire to continue to have more listings in Brooklyn, which I didn't used to say. But we'll see what happens Sunday. We'll see if we have all the people that show up and if that leads to any offers. So I'll report back. But I'm encouraged for that. That being said, with the kind of deals we've been able to get for our buyers, I actually am going to go kind of the lower number than I think maybe, Phil, I don't know if you keep a record of our individual numbers. I'm going to say a 4. I do still think it is more of a buyer's market, agreeing with my colleagues here. And I will just say though,
everyone's right here. Oh, you can't see it, but anyway, yeah, I'll always keep track. Yeah, always keep track.
So I'm going to say a 4. I do think it is definitely still more of a buyer's market. But that being said, we've had some sellers who have listened to us and have been open to negotiating. So we're able to put a lot of our listings in contract. And in Miami, we actually just listed a $6 million mansion on North Bay Road, not on the water. Beautiful historic thing, that piece of property on a gorgeous corner lot. And we have 2 offers for that in a week and a half. And they are not New Yorkers escaping. So that's just kind of interesting things I'm seeing with our own experience.
Great. Thank you so much, Tracie.
I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic as always, because I do agree, it is still New York and Miami being the 6th borough of New York, that still falls under the New York or nowhere, I think.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tracie. I know Brian Lewis, I've been texting with him. He's trying to get on. He's on a phone call, but I do have a question for Noah. Noah, we talked, and I know Dan also mentioned that the demand, the traffic, the contract signed were one of the greatest in September in the last 5 years, right? And I guess I have to ask a question about price in that case, because that is a surprising number. So my guess is price hasn't really done much. But when I hear that, my first question goes to, well, what are prices? If the demand is the highest it's been in 5 years, or most contract signs, is that nudging price up even a little bit? Are you seeing any evidence of downward pressure, upward pressure? Anything?
No. The problem is I don't know where today's deals are happening at, right? It's a time delayed discovery process, and the latest sales data that I'm seeing coming in is really of deals that were signed 3 months ago, some cases 4 months ago. So the price action I'm seeing, which really hasn't done anything in 10 years, is trending down. But then again, that's more of a function of the market rearview mirror that has happened 3-4 months ago, not necessarily a function of September's uptick in contract activity and where those deals might close in November or December, which we're not there yet.
Great. Okay, thank you. So at this point, does anyone have, got through everybody, does anyone have anything else they want to add, or any questions for Noah or for anyone else on the panel? Yeah, go ahead, Scotty. I see Scotty and then Caroline.
Cool. Fall is my favorite season in New York. And, there's always talk about, these people are leaving and, wealthy, super wealthy people, and there's a mass exodus and all that. And I hate to bring up COVID and say what I said last time. Like, you are like, I don't want to hear you screaming from the Hamptons or from Florida about how bad New York is and send me articles about the subway or whatever. Do you know we have a restaurant scene that's on fire? Do you know that we have Broadway that's on fire? These are museums that are on fire. People love coming here. They love being here. The amount of stories that I get, sent to me like, oh my God, is this subway dangerous or whatever? You know, I take it like 45 times a day. Like, I'm not doing it at 3 a.m. It's fine. Like, it's fine. It's the best people mover, you know, anywhere in the country. But apart from that, like, you trying new restaurants every day, people want to be here. They like the excitement. They go to the suburbs. They come back a year later because they're bored to death. So people want to be here. They will sacrifice whatever it is, maybe be in a smaller space, or just get a pied-à-terre here because they love being.
Scotty.
Yep, thank you.
Preach, Scotty.
Thank you. So don't listen to all the people who are like, oh my God, you know, whatever you're going to happen with the mayor and this and all that. We're going to be fine. We are going to be
Completely
resilient.
We
agree,
are. We're
Scotty.
going to be
Completely
better than
agree.
fine.
And I will say this quote that I like saying, Spalding Gray, may he rest in peace. I had to leave America. I didn't want to go to Europe or anywhere else. So I moved to an island off the coast of America called New York City. So there you go. Thanks, everybody.
Bravo,
Thanks.
bravo. One
Thank
thing that
you.
I do want to add, Phil, I'm
Oh.
sorry. I jumped
And then
someone.
Caroline. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Caroline.
No, you want to go? If you Caroline and then Antonio. Sorry, go ahead. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Caroline.
I don't want everyone to come at me on this call, but I'm just going to say something. I agree. I don't think that this election is going to be any big deal, but it doesn't matter what I think. I am hearing, and I wrote it down because this has been now multiple times. I thought the same thing as everybody else, okay? But I had a buyer. I was representing the seller. I had a buyer back out of a $650,000 one bedroom that they were going to pay cash for two months ago when Mamdani won the primary. I have a buyer who is looking for a 2-bedroom up to $1.35 million between the Upper East and Midtown East. They told me we want to put our search on hold until after the primary. I have another buyer who came to see, again, I'm representing the seller, buyer who came to see my townhouse on the Upper East Side when it was listed at 15 million. And they said, we want to wait and see what happens with the election. So look, it might not be anything, but this is 100% on buyers' minds that are out there. And whether that's the media or people talking about it, I might not think it's going to make a difference. We all as brokers may not think it's making a difference, but there are buyers out there who are not making moves because of this election. And maybe that'll change after the results, but I just feel as though I have to put that out there because I've had it happen 3 times, like just recently. It's crazy.
Caroline, that's great. Like, look, if buyers are thinking about it, then we have to think about it. So that's the point of these calls. So no, you have to say that. Thank you for saying that. Thank you very much for saying that.
We would never come at you for
Caroline,
speaking.
I don't think it doesn't matter.
I would never come at you.
Okay,
Go ahead,
I'm just saying, everybody's like, it's a nothing burger, but like, it's not
but
a nothing
what I'm
burger.
saying is
I agree.
It's a nothing burger today because the data doesn't suggest that that anything's changed. There's always going to be anecdotes, and I'm not saying that the election a month after it could change everything.
Yeah,
we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So if all those buyers that you're talking about, all of those people don't buy next year, then we'll know.
Right. Yeah, true.
I'm
just saying, I guess
the
it's
data doesn't
affecting.
suggest that it's a problem today.
But the data isn't going to suggest it because it's what we hear on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like there isn't going to be data for this.
Why do we have 762 contracts signed? You know.
Well, I want to just say one thing. So first of all, you both could be right in a way, but the truth is, it could have been 700 contracts if Caroline's not. You don't know how many it would have been had this not happened. So it's hard. It's really hard to say. But I love this discussion because the truth is, we don't know for sure. And yes. And we all have like this is the point of the call. It's like we get different viewpoints because this is the finger on the pulse. Like we don't know yet, and that's why it's very helpful and relevant. And if our buyers are saying it, it's helpful to other agents to hear what other buyers are saying to their agents. Okay, Antonio, I promised you, you're next. And
I'm with you, Phil. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm following Caroline. I want to do a deal with her.
Yeah.
So I'm never ever gonna, even if we're not doing a deal together. Look, number one, Phil, hypotheticals is never a great thing to discuss, right? It's just we don't have a crystal ball, and also the kind of anecdotes I heard you say, Caroline, I also can share that. My seller said, "Oh, this and that." After the Mamdani, they voted for Cuomo, all these things. But the same thing happened during Trump, right before the election. they were just before the elections, people are on hold, right? And I don't know, people are on hold sometimes even without the elections. I think sometimes if they're not getting a divorce, like we've talked about before, life situations, they need to expand. They just got a baby. We need a 3-bedroom instead of 2-bedroom. All those things. If it's not an urgent life situation, they're going to come up with something that is on top of their mind, because somebody, from our industry, we all know who it is, like wanted likes and say, hey, it's kind of a the Russians are coming, the Russians are coming. But I do stand on what I said earlier. It is a nothing burger. It's not affecting our market, just the minds of our buyers and sellers. But what is really affecting it, this is the point I wanted to make. This is why I think the sales market is not as strong as it was. People are not seeing the appreciation. I own a lot of properties. I used to be able to buy a property and flip it within 5 years and make $200,000-$300,000 on a 1-bedroom, right? And then think about that for 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. You can't do that anymore. And is that a good sign, right? So that's why rental market is super high, because people are not seeing the return. So why should I commit 20%, 30% of my money, right? So they would rather put that in the stock market, which is doing really well, in the S&P and all that. I mean, I was in hedge funds before, and it's common sense. Where do you put your money to make more money? So I'd rather rent, which is
right.
crazy, because I think after 10, 15 years, I'd still make my money. So that is why I think New York it wants a change, and that part I do agree, and we want, I'm with Scott. I mean, this is New York City is hot right now. I mean, it's always been hot, but boy, it is a great city to live in right now. And there's gonna be, I always say to my kids, lovers gonna love, haters gonna hate. That's their job.
Right. Thank you, Antonio. Nikki, are you with
You
us?
and Taylor Swift.
Nikki, are you there?
Thank
Guys, we skipped over Nikki because her screen was still, but I think Nikki, are you with us now?
I am here, and everyone
Awesome.
basically said most of what I would have said. But I will say this, that in any market, the buyer sentiment and economics and geopolitics always dictate what people decide to do. And I think our job is to be able to communicate our experiences and help people understand how to make the decisions that guide their lifestyles. And for me, I've been busier than I've been in August in a very long time, and I'm kind of like a solid 5. Every transaction is inordinately complicated, lots of conversations, lots of, as one of my clients says, real estate therapy with a side of cocktails. And it's a lot, but there is a lot of opportunity in certain segments. And I've had clients lose out on bidding wars. So, for what it's worth.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. It's about close to 12 o'clock. Does anyone have any other comments they want to add, thoughts, questions, anything in the remaining minute or two?
I just want to say one other thing as just a little PSA to anyone who is maybe a younger agent who is starting out, because I know that Scotty made a mention that he does regular deals, but I just want to say this $15 million townhouse, Scotty, came from a renter. Okay, this was a rental. This is the father of a rental client from almost 20 years ago, and has turned into 8 different deals, and they've done transaction, and they've just gotten bigger each time. And they bought this 10 years ago with me and did a bunch of work. So if you are a new agent, don't shy away. You never know what the rental business could bring you in the future, or who that client is going to turn into. And this was a $2,500 convertible 2-bedroom. Okay, so don't just stay positive and stay with it. You never know who those clients will be.
Was it a 5-floor walk-up railroad style, Upper East Side?
No, it was a doorman. It was a doorman 1-bedroom convertible to 2. But
Caroline, you were that unicorn agent that we hear about that. I always thought that was urban myth. I actually heard it was the $1,300 studio that led to the $20 million townhouse, but God bless you. That's awesome.
Guys, it really happens. So just stick with it. Stick with it. And
Awesome.
stay in the
That's why we all deal with people at different price brackets, because that's happened to probably so many of us. And you treat somebody who is a rental client who is using their, maybe life savings to move to New York or whatever, and you treat them as if it's, a $12 million client. And then they come back to you and then refer friends and all of that. And that's how this works.
That's right.
Great. I was in a networking session recently and someone said, I don't look at it as luxury clients that I have. I provide a luxury service. And I thought that was really a nice way to say it. All right, guys. I think that's it. We're good. Wonderful. I am going to go to the closing remarks now. So I'll send out a summary. It was a great conversation today. I'll send out a summary that you can share with your clients. As always, feel free to borrow it. If it sparks an idea, it gives you a reason to reach out to someone in your network. That's exactly why we do this. Big thanks to our panelists, to everyone that joined. This really is such a unique community.
Thanks, Phil.
It's collaborative, curious, open. Everyone says what's on their mind. I love I kind of gave a shout out to those that gave unique viewpoints, because I love that. That's the point of this. Like, it's okay to give a unique viewpoint. That's wonderful. That's the point of these calls. So every time we do one of these, I'm always reminded how sharp and generous the group is. So we're all learning from each other. That's the point. That's what makes it work. Feel free to come off, say goodbye. Until next time, have a great Halloween, a great Thanksgiving, all that good stuff. Bye, everybody.
See you all at Cornell.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Phil.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Take care of yourselves.